Hi, gentle people. So, this is a video I kind of don't want to make, but I know I have to. And so here I am. I have to tell you what God says about 2024, but first, I have to give you a backstory about 2020. So, in 2019, towards the end of 2019, God said to me that He was going to draw out His sword and that 2020 was the year of justice and that a lot of people were going to cry in 2020. And I panicked. I was like, what do you mean? What's coming? But he didn't tell me. And I thought maybe like a tsunami or something like that. But I had no clue. He said he's going to draw out his sword and scatter people. And I was just like, okay, God, so when you draw out your sword, let them see your justice, but let them also see your mercy. And he immediately took me to a passage in Job where Job said, if God decides to snatch up, who am I to tell him to hold up his hand? And when God showed me that passage, I was just shaking. I was like, okay, I'm so sorry. I can't tell you what to do. The rest of the year was just like, yeah. And then in February, on exactly February 25th, I had a dream where two angels came and told me to go inside. About 2 weeks after that, America was on lockdown and most of the rest of the world was on lockdown because COVID, the wrath of COVID was just unleashed. And I spent most of 2020 just like in shock. No kidding, guys. Every day I turn on TV and I just sit there in shock, tears running down my face. And I ask God the same question every day. God, this was it? This was what you were showing me? This was what you told me was coming? Like, really? This is it? This was it? And I spent a lot of 2020 just depressed. And then I eventually had to turn off the news, guys. So now I don't even watch the news anymore. Seriously. I will watch news once every 3, 4 months, and it might seem weird because you're supposed to know what's happening in the world. I can't deal with it. This is how I preserve my sanity, okay? I don't watch the news. In 2023, 3 months before the train crashed in India, I was on that train in a dream and the train crashed and people were asking me for help, holding on to me. They were bloody and a lot of people were dead, guys. At first, when people were holding on to me and asking me for help, I kept saying to them, I'll get some help, I'll get some help, but I'm claustrophobic, so I was hyperventilating. And I kept saying to them, okay, I'm gonna get you some help. But my thought was, I need to get off this train, I need to get off this train. And I went outside the train and sat down, guys, on the ground and grabbed a notebook and started writing in it. And then I woke up. The dream bothered me for like a couple of weeks, but I didn't know where the train crash was going to be. And I'm like, who do I tell this to, God? Like, you're showing this to me. Like, you have not told me the date. You have not told me what part of the world. Like, I look like a crazy woman coming on social media to say, oh, God said this is going to happen, or I had a dream that this is going to happen, because you haven't told me when and you haven't told me where. 3 months after that dream where I was on the train, my mom called me and told me that the train crashed in India and a lot of people are dead. And somehow it did not click to me. And fast forward months after that, God said to me, go look at the India train crash. And I'm like, God, I don't want to look at the India train crash. He says, go look at the India train crash. So I pull it up on Google and I saw that 200 and odd people died. And I was like, oh my God, God, why are you showing me this? And he said to me, zoom in. And I zoomed in, guys. And when I zoomed in, I saw the exact spot that I sat on in my dream when I grabbed the notebook and started writing. I was like, oh my God, that is when it clicked to me that what I saw 3 months before that crash was the actual crash. I was on the train. And it works like that, guys. Sometimes I am like in a storm. Sometimes I'm on a boat. Sometimes I'm in a car crash. It's not me, but I'm there in the back seat or something watching the event unfold. It's just that I don't know who and I don't know when and I don't know where. And it kind of gets to you after a while because you're seeing all these events and you can't help people. The thing about it is that I don't have any control, right? I'm saying that to say this. So at the end of 2023, um, God told me that 2024 is the year of judgment. Now, at the end of 2019, he said 2020 was the year of justice. And at the end of 2023, he said 2024 is the year of judgment. And I'm like, oh God, really? I'm like, God, seriously, what is coming? Like, what is coming? What is coming? And he would not tell me. He just said it's going to be the year of judgment. Um, like a few weeks after that, I had a dream and woke up from the dream going, God, what was that? Because in that dream, there was something worse than COVID. COVID was killing people within like a week or two or whatever. This thing, this virus that is coming, was killing people within minutes. And I thought, what was that? What was that? Like, God, what is that? What is coming? No answer. One day I was talking to him because I talk to God a lot. And he said to me that he's going to draw out his sword and he's going to walk through from the south to the north. And he says he's going to spare basically whoever he chooses to spare. Fast forward to February 7th. And I have it written here because I keep notebooks. And it's actually February 7th, 2024. I dreamt that there's going to be a storm. And there's going to be so much water that the water from the storm is going to cover the land. There's going to be an earthquake. And after that earthquake, I wrote here, the sea will also rise up to cover the land. This is February 7th, 2024. The sea's going to rise up and cover the land, along with the rains from the flood. I don't know where it's going to happen. And I was like, oh my gosh. But I have to come on here and say it because this was in February. The India train crash happened about 3 months after I saw it. Normally things happen in threes for me, like it's 3 days, 3 weeks, it's 3 months, 3 years, sometimes also 7 days, 7 weeks, 7 months, 7 years. And sometimes it's multiples of 7, like 7 times 3, 21 days, 7 times 2, 14 days, and it goes like that. And so it's been February. So if it's 3 months in keeping with what I usually get, there's going to be something happening in May. Don't know where. So at the end of 2023, after God told me that he was going to draw out his sword and that 2024 is going to be the year of judgment, I had a dream. And I saw Jesus on a gurney and he was dead, crown of thorns, all of that, but his head wasn't fixed right. And at first when I saw the gurney coming with the body, I didn't realize. And then when they passed me with the gurney, I'm like, oh my God, that's Jesus, that's Joshua. And I started screaming to the hospital staff, do you guys know who that is? I'm like, that's Joshua. I'm like, why are you guys handling his body like that? I'm like, fix his head, fix his head. His head is not fixed right. And I'm like, running after the gurney, and they were like, ma'am, you can't come in here, you can't come in here. And they closed the double doors on me, and there were glass doors and I could see inside, and they were just like, dealing with his body kind of rough. And I'm like, don't do him like that. I'm like, do you guys know whose body you're manhandling? I'm like, that's Jesus. I'm like, please let me come in and fix his head. Please let me fix his head. His head's not fixed right. And I'm crying, guys, and I'm like, please let me fix his head. And I was screaming, and I woke up and I said, God, what was that? And he said to me that people have buried Jesus for over 2,000 years and they have kept him buried, but no longer. No longer. And I'm like, oh my God. That's when it hit me. And I said, what is going to happen? And he said to me that people are going to see Jesus. And I thought about it, and fear. I mean, I was just shaking, guys. I was cold, cold sweat, cold goosebumps. And I said, yeah, God, but people saw Jesus in 2020. I mean, COVID came and people saw Jesus, and he said to me, how long ago was that? And I said, 3 years. And he said, exactly. He said, people have already forgotten. People have already forgotten, right? But people will not keep Jesus buried. any longer. And I was like, oh my God. Fast forward maybe like a couple weeks after that, January of this year, 2024, lying in my bed, opened my eyes one Sunday morning, and he said to me, beg for mercy for no one. And I said, oh God, what is coming? What is coming? This is 2024. What are you saying? What is coming? No answer. And I said, okay, I won't beg for mercy for anyone because I cannot tell you what to do. I said it to my daughter. I said, I'm scared to go and tell people anything that's going to happen because it's going to make God look bad. I mean, where was the justice in 2020? What did God mean by justice? I mean, like a lot of people died who were good. Like, what is that? And, I said, when God says year of judgment, oh my God, people are going to hate him. People are going to say he's unfair, he's unjust. People are going to say he's wicked. And my daughter said, why are you doing that, Mom? She said, why are you doing that? She said, God does not need your help. She said, you're acting as though you're God's PR manager. Why are you doing that? Just do what he tells you to do. Say what he tells you to say. He doesn't need your help. What do you care how people react? What do you care? She said, people already hate him. So you can't do anything about that. What are you doing? She says, do what God tells you. God doesn't need your help. You're not his PR manager, right? And last night, and I've been keeping this, guys, since January. And even when I had the dream about the flood in February, I was keeping it to myself and just my little circle, my kids and friends and parents and sisters. And God chastised me last night. God chastised me because whatever is happening has already started, and whatever is to happen, it's going to be bad. And the reason he is telling me this, because I've never understood it until last night, is that he's giving people every opportunity, just like he did with the flood, when in Noah's days, he always gives people a chance, right? Just like he gave Pharaoh an opportunity to do the right thing, always gives people a chance. And here he is giving people a chance. God says, I give every man a chance. I give every woman a chance. I give everybody a chance. And so this is why I'm here, guys, telling you whatever it is that's in your life that's not right, set it right. Right? You're not talking to people for years, family members you're not talking to for years, people that you've cut off, maybe for good reason, or maybe just because, you know what I'm saying? Please set your life right. There are some people who don't have to be in your life, but you don't need to have them up in your heart. You need to let it go, forgive them, move on from it. You don't have to be friends with them. You don't have to, keep in touch with them, have Sunday dinner, but let them go out of your heart. Unforgiveness is a very bad thing. God says, if you do not forgive others, he will not forgive you. And Joshua talked about forgiveness a lot whilst he was here on earth. He talked about forgiving others, right? And he talked about that so much, forgiving as much as 70 times 7, that kind of stuff, showing mercy, having mercy. Guys, if you're doing stuff to hurt other people, stop. You have people moving out on out of their marriage, cheating with outside people, especially people who say they're Christians. Guys, you say you're Christians and you're living like the rest of the world. Stop doing that. It is not okay to to sexually abuse your children. It's not okay to physically abuse your children. It's not okay to emotionally abuse your children, to abuse your spouse, to treat people at work like garbage, people who work for you like garbage, to treat your neighbor like garbage, to pick fights with people, to cut people off for no reason. Listen, guys, get your lives right. Whatever it is you're doing that is not pleasing to God, stop it. Stop it. You have people who are cheating on their spouses and they're in church, they're deacons, they're women's ministry leaders, they're men's ministry leaders, they're children's ministry leaders, they're on the praise and worship team, they're playing in the band, they're singing in praise and worship. Guys, you call yourself a Christian, live like a Christian, you need to be living Christ like. God is not a joke. People, God is not a joke. If you call yourself a Christian, you ought to be Christ like. So you see what the rest of the world is doing? Living for the flesh, living for the pleasures of the flesh, and living like there's no tomorrow. So you're going to eat, drink, and be merry because tomorrow you might die. Listen. Oh my God. Guys, whatever it is you're doing, and this is why I see these things. This is why God shows me future events, and that is to warn people to change their lives. He gives everybody a chance, guys. I'm not saying that people don't sin. We all sin and fall short, but you can't just be doing whatever you want willfully. I'm not saying you can't slip up and there's a moment of weakness. You go to God about it, and then guess what? You ask forgiveness and you stop what you are doing. You correct the wrong. You right the wrong that you have done. You don't just get to go about doing whatever. No, guys, stop it. He said he's going to draw out his sword in 2024 against the righteous and against the wicked, because 2024 is the year of judgment. He's going to move from the south, he says, and he's going to walk through to the north. That is what's going to happen in the year 2024. I don't like to be the bearer of doom and gloom, but whenever I don't do what God says, I get punished for it. And I don't want to be punished for this. So that is why I'm here. Thank you guys for sticking with me until the end of this video. You know, I hope that I've encouraged you to change something that you need to change in your life, something that God has been convicting you about and you've been ignoring the Holy Spirit speaking to you about it. Please do not ignore it any longer. I hope I've encouraged you to change something that needs changing in your life, to mend some relationships that need mending in your life, right? To stop doing something that you've been doing to hurt others in your life. Now is the time. Guys, thanks for sticking with me until the end. If you want to hear more about what God is saying, you want to hear more videos like these, more about dreams, visions, prophecies, that kinds of stuff, then this is a channel for you. So please don't go anywhere before you subscribe, like, comment, share. I'd like to hear from you. Until next time, blessings.